And then I'll go back to, this is a podcast.
TV's not on.
TV's not on.
Oh, you're live.
Oh.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Five Boys in a Business. I'm used to seeing it on the TV. Good Lord. I'm Emily King.
And I'm Richie King.
And I'm Amanda Knutson.
And we're here with the 28th. 31st. Whoa, I'm way behind because that shows what's happening in March. Okay, it's going too fast because we don't even know what day it is. Welcome back to Five Boys in a Business podcast where we talk about the business, the family, and the many shenanigans involved. You can check us out on Facebook Live most of the time every Monday around 10:30ish, or you can catch us on any of the podcast channels like YouTube. Sorry, yes, you can watch it there. iTunes, Spotify. So don't forget to check out the merch page, which I'm going to have a pandemic shirt there at some point that says what we wanted to say live from
the bunker. We survived.
Live from the bunker. We survived. Yes, with a dog with a mask on it.
We'll get a Texas COVID-19 survivor.
So asvcmerch.com. Don't forget to check it out. All right, so
live from the bunker. We're in it with you guys. You're going through hell, so are we. So we're gonna go through it together.
So we have Amanda with us.
Further away. Right there.
And Amanda's our practice manager here at All Star Veterinary Clinic. So
farther away.
You want to introduce yourself? Would you stop talking? We're talking.
Well, he's telling me, give me directions.
Okay. Amanda, talk about what your job is here and a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and all that jazz.
Well, originally I'm from Louisiana, and I'm here trying to keep all the things calm and under control during this time. That's the goal. So we're putting into place some emergency hours and some telemedicine and online pharmacy, all the things we can do to keep everything calm and functioning.
So, one of the things, shout out to everybody listening. Thanks for listening. Send your questions in. I think that one of the things we were trying to do with the clinic was to still be able to provide essential services to pet owners, because we know what that can feel like when you can't get your pet taken care of in a timely fashion. So we've always had Vet Source, which is an online pharmacy, but it's a great resource for clients because it gets delivered directly to their house, and they're still delivering, unlike Amazon. Okay, let's not talk about that. So Vet Source will actually get you your crap in a timely fashion, and food. What else? Medication.
Treats, medication, compounded drugs should you need them. So anything you need, we can place that order for you, or you can place it online, and it will get usually to you in 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, and if you're a new user of Vet Source, they have a discount code. We'll put at the bottom of the banner when we're finished with the podcast. It's like 15% off. 15% off. I think your first order.
That code is SHOP15.
SHOP15, SHOP 15.
You gotta spell it.
I'm already punchy, knowing I'm going to be here till midnight tonight. Woo! Okay.
S-H-O-P. Go ahead.
We are. Well, sometimes I talk too fast and somebody
I
can't understand that I said shop.
Just in case they couldn't spell it, now they can.
They can. So, Amanda, tell everybody what we're doing with hours.
So we will have ER hours here at the hospital until midnight every single night. There will also be weekend hours. So 8 a.m. until midnight 8 a.m. until midnight on weekends as well. So if you have anything that is emergent, we are trying to lessen the load on the local ERs and make their jobs a little easier and shorten your wait times so that you can come in and take care of anything that you may need with your pets.
Right. So we had reached out to some of the local emergency clinics because they are having to restrict their hours. They're no longer seeing things during the day, and then their staffs are they're very understaffed right now due to illness and then people being quarantined and whatnot, and so they don't have staff members during the day to run the specialty services. But then now we're starting to see that their emergency services are being affected. So what we did was say, okay, after talking to them, they asked, can you step in? We have people waiting 3 or 4 hours at a time, and so, hey, you know what? Yeah, I mean, I don't want my client waiting 3 or 4 hours to have something seen,
right.
And so we thought, all right, this is one way we can serve the community,
So, yeah, we plan to do that until those services come back up online.
Right.
Back to normal capacity.
We have 2 comments.
Okay.
One from Madeline saying, hope you all are taking care of yourselves too during this stressful time.
Oh, Madeline, we are.
We are. Thank you so
whiskey,
much.
So don't worry.
And then we have one Patrick Warner on Instagram saying, we are getting a puppy in 2 weeks. When should we schedule a checkup?
Oh, your family's going to be so excited. He's an OLG family.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Go
Eagles.
Let's see. So It depends. Like if the puppy's 8 weeks old, that's usually when we see them for the first time.
Right.
And so if the breeder's done something with them, prior to, so sometimes it'll be somewhere between 8 and 9 weeks when we check them out. So give us a holler. We'll get them in. Right now we're doing like curbside appointments to lessen the exposure of the clients to us, but then also to keep our staff as safe and as healthy as possible for as long as possible, so that we can continue to provide services for people. Because we don't want to be,
Sure.
have people sick and then can't provide the services.
Right.
So curbside appointments right now, and we would see the puppy, somewhere between 8 and 9 weeks of age.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations. What a great thing to be doing right now when everybody's home and everybody has time to spend with the puppy. And
Sure.
that's perfect timing, actually.
Bill Evans says hello from Milford.
Hello.
Hello, Bill from Milford.
So what else is different about some of the things we're doing?
Teletales. Telemedicine.
You want to talk about Teletales?
Yeah, so Teletales is an app you can download on your phone and schedule a consult online with any of the doctors that are in the building that day. So if you have got a problem like allergies or some vomiting or diarrhea with your pet that needs to be addressed, but you would like to stay home and avoid exposure to the rest of the humans in the world right now, you can certainly take advantage of that. You can schedule that consult online by registering with the app and then choosing the doctor you'd like to see, and either one of our staff will be in touch with you to schedule a time that our doctors can reach out to you, or they will just reach out directly through the app immediately, so that you can be seen via video chat, and then they can prescribe any medication you may need either via VetSource, or they can call it into a local pharmacy. And that way, for minor ailments at home, those can be taken care of without having to come into the practice.
Yeah, it's great for rechecks, like surgical
Right.
rechecks or skin rechecks or limping, behavior. There's some things that telemedicine doesn't apply to, but just like on the human side, we're starting to see more and more, like we had talked to Dr. Keller about that, when he was on the podcast. And I think you're starting to see that more and more on the human side. That's going to be a push for our clients as well, I think, in the future. So kind of kill two birds with one stone, introduce telemedicine now when, potentially the need is very high, but then keep it around, for future users as well. So
Right.
was the objective. But it's a nice way of being able to stay connected with clients, that can't come into the clinic.
I think if there's a positive to the entire situation, it's that it's pushing some of those technologies to the forefront that would have probably otherwise been integrated over time.
Yeah, take a
but
while
kind of
to
fast-tracked it up to say, okay, let's use this resource, kind of force it into people's hands and use so they become more comfortable with it than at a faster pace than they would have otherwise become comfortable with it, I think.
Yeah.
I think for sure, telemedicine for sure. I think,
Well, and the AVMA is notorious for being slow to change.
Yeah.
And so, having these pressures from the outside to make them like, okay, yeah, no, telemedicine's fine. Go ahead and do it, is something I think that's very helpful to us who are out there trying to be progressive, because now it's like, okay, yeah, it's fine. Just use it. Actually, we're encouraging you to use it, and so it's funny to see them shift so quickly
those things
when
so
it's like
quickly,
something
right.
that's like, we're deciding what to do about it, and they're like slow as molasses. And so now to see them propel it forward and recommend its use is kind of comical.
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next, several years, a couple decades. Do you need to take that?
That's okay.
As people become more, to your point about the veterinary industry sometimes being somewhat stodgy and slow to change, I wonder if as that demographic kind of starts to skew a bit younger, that people will start to embrace those new technologies, new tools more readily than they would be in the past. Because you're still kind of, the internet's only been around for 20 or so years in heavy use, and now those tools are even becoming more disruptive. So maybe as time goes by, they'll embrace more and more tools and maybe be more progressive, more willing to embrace that change versus before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that everything with COVID-19, there's, you always try and look at the silver lining.
right.
So, trying to find opportunities or, ways to make yourself better,
Right.
and whatnot. I think that for everybody listening right now, what the recommendations made by the AVMA in regards to, and the CDC in regards to animals, really the only restriction they're talking about is if you're sick, don't take care of your pet, right? That hasn't
Right.
changed really. I don't think they're not saying that animals can get, COVID-19. And so right now we're not concerned about pets getting it and then transmitting it to people and whatnot. There's some thought behind surface contamination, so could pets be a surface that the virus could live on? I'm going with no right now based on what we're seeing and what the AVMA and the CDC is saying. But I think like leashes or,
Right.
They talk about like countertop surfaces and things like that. I suppose carriers maybe, So we're taking precautions when we're handling pets, and then in terms of, hand washing and all of those things, as well. But
It's almost impossible. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's almost impossible. I was thinking about this as people have taken more and more precautions, and I was thinking about in our area, they're asking for people to volunteer to deliver groceries to the elderly or people, that could be negatively affected if they went out more. And I was at the grocery store the other day, and I got to thinking about that, and I thought, there's no way to 100% sterilize the entire experience. There's no way, because the groceries, somebody put it on the shelf, somebody grabbed it to scan it. I mean, it's gone through so many hands already.
Right.
But to the extent you could do that, it's good. But I guess there's no way to make everything 100%.
Right.
So
Tiffany said, "We're watching in Rockwood. Stay safe."
they're watching. All right.
They're home.
They're home.
Oh my goodness.
What was she saying last night when she called? I can't remember what she was talking about.
Oh, she was talking about in Tennessee that they are delivering alcohol.
Oh,
And
they're
so
delivering
she
booze.
was
That's right. The governor signed something and said, if you're of age, we'll deliver it.
So they were, she was talking about how she didn't know that was such a good idea to have all these laid off workers who
Getting a fifth. Did you order a fifth of Jack? No, I ordered Old Crow. Oh, well, I'll give it to you anyway.
So we were laughing so hard. It just makes me laugh so hard. Oh, gosh. Tennessee.
No, they did. Actually, they're doing it too. I think they'd have to correct me if I'm wrong on this. I thought the article that I read said that with carry-out food, so long as it's in a spill-proof container, so you could get a drink while you pick up your burger, and they'll give it to you, a beer or whatever, so they can sell alcohol in that regard.
In Tennessee. That's what they said in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So you could get a beer and just like
beer and
hang
a
out
burger
your window.
and just drive home.
Oh my God.
with your alcohol. So so good for Tennessee for taking the lead on a great service. So
great service. Oh dear Lord.
Listen, anything they can do to soften the blow of all this stuff is good, and to the extent they can make people's lives.
She was
more
talking about
convenient.
how somebody had said they're going to post policemen outside of Walmart. So
Why?
Because they said that they only wanted so many people in the store at a time. Because like when we drove by Lowe's yesterday,
There's 1,000 people. I was like, yeah, social distancing. My foot.
yeah, I was like, there's no way. Like,
It was packed.
yeah,
It was like, it was crazy. But people are going nuts. They're gonna go do. I mean, eventually
Yeah.
they're gonna get out.
They're stir crazy.
Yeah. So yeah.
I think that over the next week, that's when you're going to start to see people be like, all right, enough is enough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've distanced enough.
Unless they put in some other kind of restriction. So, Amanda, did anything in your life prepare you for these things happening right now? Do
No.
you feel very prepared?
I don't think anybody was prepared.
I'm so illy prepared.
You were also like Harrison buying a house at the time all this was going down.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had, that's like
It's
horrible.
like,
isn't
wow,
it?
your first payment's due here. You see everything just slide.
But
And
then
there
as
goes
far
the
as like
stock
getting people
market
to help
and your
you.
retirement and
I know.
all of the other things.
And it's
like
every
that.
day you get up and you go, okay, what else is going to happen? I mean,
Yeah.
there's some bad event, that was going on. They locked this down. They locked that down. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. So far, we haven't been affected with the manufacturing chains, like from the
Right.
standpoint of like in Indiana, manufacturing's
chains,
still
yeah.
open, but have they shut down something in New York where you get something from, you know what I mean? And then it's like a trickle down.
Well, yeah, I think that's the trick, right? Is that balance between, closing things down, but then leaving that supply chain open sufficiently to continue to supply people, because it is a trickle down.
Right.
You close this, you can't get that, and eventually grocery stores are like, I don't know what to tell you. And that was it Tiffany that was saying that about the grocery stores? They said the trucks couldn't get through. That was it milk or somebody was talking about that, and they're saying they're out of this in part because there's a run on it, but partly because the supply chain is somewhat broken down. So I mean, unlike it was before.
right.
So yeah, that just goes to show how important those people are and those functions are to keep things stocked and ready to go when they're needed. So
Yeah.
Sam commented, "Let's go night shift." With this
Let's go
emoji.
night shift.
hashtag night shift rocks.
Hashtag night shift. Sam, you should be sleeping.
I know. So you don't have to sleep later.
She's off tonight.
She's not on tonight. She's got like 2 days
So
before,
save
before
up.
she's on.
Surplus sleep.
That's right, exactly. She's gonna come in bouncing off the walls, and we're all gonna be like, I don't know.
4 nights
Smacking her.
in, you'll be done.
I know it. Oh gosh, that'll be funny. So
yeah, it's been an interesting time. I think it's unlike anything I've ever seen.
But I think we're really fortunate. You know, when I was talking to Dr. Cross, who's the medical director at VCA, he was talking about the PPE equipment. Apparently, they use all disposable stuff. And so he was saying, well, you know, you're going to have to go back to cloth gowns and I was like, oh, that's what we do right now.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad we're still doing that. Like that came into, you know, but I guess like their facility that large, it would make sense, right, to just throw everything. It would be more
Efficient.
time consuming to
Right.
sterilize everything. So that's why they use disposable stuff. You think?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that from a staffing standpoint, they would probably have an entire, you know, a whole person just doing scrub work. And
Right.
Yeah, like autoclaving, sterilization, like all that stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, we have plenty of gowns and everything that we need here, you know, to just re-sterilize. So,
I have a few things. Hold on. Sam said I'm stocking up on energy drinks and coffee.
okay.
And then you have Caroline and Sarah watching. Sarah Pate and Caroline Harvey.
Oh,
Oh, Caroline
shout out, Sarah.
Harvey with the baby.
Caroline, how are you?
Oh.
How's South Carolina treating you?
Yeah, I
Bet it's
hope-
warmer there than it is here.
Oh, in South Carolina, at least you're locked down someplace nice.
I know, right? If you have to be locked down, that's a lot. Well,
And Sarah Pate is going to be on the podcast at some point in the future talking about being a working mom.
go Sarah
So
Pate.
she's stuck in, and just to toot her horn just a little bit, she's awesome. She's our drug rep for Zoetis and does an amazing job for us. So, and entertains us. And we always
Always.
have to have our Sarah fix is what I call it.
Never been
So-
around someone as positive as Sarah.
Yeah. So, you know, whenever you're feeling down and out, you just need to text Sarah. And she'll be
Right.
like, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's going to be fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. She talks about as fast as I do too, which I love. So then we can get a lot done in a short period of time.
Right.
And you know, so we speak each other's language because we talk really fast.
There you go.
Caroline said, hi, guys. Miss you all.
Yeah.
You as
Everybody
well. Hope
misses
you're
you
well.
too, Caroline. Hope you guys are doing well. Okay. What else you got to talk about today?
Daddy, you want to talk about your homeschooling venture now?
Oh yeah. So I'm not only work here at the clinic. I have 2 jobs, which is 4 or 5 if you count all the stuff I do at home. But but yeah, we decided everybody's doing e-learning at home, so they're at home learning. You would hope,
Maybe.
and maybe. But Calvin, we were having trouble with some of the stuff he was doing, so we reverted back to an old curriculum that we used before with the other boys called Rod and Reel. It's a joke.
It's not rod and reel. I said that by
She
accident.
said she
I
said
called it rod and reel because I was
She
like,
goes, "What is it, rod and reel?" I was like, "No, yeah, it's a spinner rod edition or spinnerbait edition." No, it's rod and staff, and it was a classical Memoria Press classical education curriculum that we've kind of reverted back to. We're not doing the whole thing, maybe 70% of it, because some of the materials I just don't have anymore. But in a pinch, we decided over the weekend to revert back to that, and I think Calvin will do really well with it.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, our awesome school, #Go Eagles, Our Lady of Grace, they're very willing to, their primary objective is get the student where the student needs to
Right.
be. And, you know, so they were very on board with us changing a few things because we looked at this as an opportunity for him.
Right.
He's going to be at home for 6 weeks. What can we get done with him versus just doing tasks,
Right.
which, and so actually teaching a curriculum to him, I think we can make him a better student in 6
Sure.
weeks. We can take it as an opportunity. And because they're awesome, then
Yeah, and I think
his
just
teacher, Mrs. Algram, and then Mrs. Schmuddy, who's the resource teacher, we're all about, you guys know how he learns, to do whatever you need to do to get him where you want him to be, and then we were like, well, that's perfect because then that just leads right into summer.
right.
So we were like, all right, we can really springboard off of this
Sure.
opportunity. So we're kind of excited about it.
Yeah, he must be. I have a newfound respect for Mrs. Algram. Just working on math this morning, and he wouldn't do his math because he said the workbook wouldn't fold flat. I'm like, yeah, because it's a workbook. It's not going to fold flat. So you need to write as neat as you can, do the best you can with a folded workbook. And he did fine. He did okay with his math facts. He knew most of them. We worked on money for a bit, and I gave him 2 dimes and 3 nickels. I said, give me 10 cents, and he goes, I don't know what that is. It's like, wow, okay, great. We got work to do. And he finally got it. So, and he's counting. He's looking at it. I gave him a nickel and 3 pennies, and I said, give me 6 cents. And then he started, and I said, this is worth 5. So then he got it. Then he did well, and he started to, do better at it. But yeah, he's
Well, when
he's
you
a
step
character.
away from it, so like they did it or a little bit and then they step away from it. And then now it's like, oh yeah, that's what
Right.
I remember we were talking about that earlier.
He had to put his necklace on to get in the mood to get rocking on the school. So
St. Christopher necklace.
St. Christopher necklace. So yeah, we have a little bit more work to do this afternoon. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a very straightforward curriculum, so should be good.
Amanda, last night Calvin was upset with me because I was saying, I said, you need to go downstairs. He broke something which by accident.
Okay, back
It
it,
was
back it.
fine.
I took him. One of his rewards yesterday was take him to CVS to get something, and I took him over and I said, "Hey, how about a PlayStation gift card, $25?" He goes, "No, I don't." So he goes over and he sees an Easter display of stuffed animals. He buys this huge stuffed rabbit. So which he promptly names Larry. So he brings.
So we have Larry the stuffed
So
rabbit.
so he's playing with the stuffed rabbit at the island, and he knocks a dish off and a bowl, and he breaks it. And Emily comes over and says, "Sit down here. I want you to eat your dinner." And then he gets into a little tiff and just
yeah, really mad.
bad mood, and starts saying all this stuff, and he's writing in the air and all this stuff.
So
and
yeah, he was writing in the air because he wouldn't talk because now he's mad. So he's like with his little left hand, he's like spelling something. I'm like, "Oh, you're telling me that I'm awesome?" And he's like, "Hmm." And I goes, he writes something else, and I go, "That I'm amazing, mom." And he's like, "Hmm." And then he writes it again. And he goes, I go, "Did you love your dad and I so much you can't stand it?" And he's like, "No, I'm saying that I'm homeless."
No, he goes, "I want to be homeless." I
wanna
said,
be homeless.
"Okay, come here a minute." It's these PJs, and I opened the front door. I said, "Step out there." And it was raining. I locked it. I go, "Now you're homeless, buddy." And he's banging on the door. I was like, "You said you want to be homeless. There you go."
Oh gosh, it was hilarious. Oh, he's so funny. He's something else. Yeah.
I want to be homeless. No, you don't.
He was writing homeless in the air. Homeless. I was like, okay, whatever.
It's not how you spell homeless.
Yeah.
Hence why we're schooling him.
Oh, goodness gracious. Too funny.
He's a
Calvin stories are
character.
the best. So
Yesterday, what was he doing the other day? He goes, where was he? He was at the kitchen table. Where was he? And he goes, "I have to collect my thoughts." And he goes, I'm like, "What?"
Oh, goodness gracious. See, wait till your nephew starts doing this stuff. You know he's not going to be funny? You don't think he's going to have a funny personality?
He started demanding food.
So he's like serious.
Like he saw that we were eating dinner last night, and he started like screaming.
That he wanted it. Is he old enough to grab stuff? Like
Yes.
he's old enough to do that.
Yes.
Like finger foods and stuff
So
like
he
that.
was like sucking on a piece of chicken last night, and then when it runs out of flavor, he throws it at you.
Like you do.
Because that's what you do when you're
When
7 months old. or
Right,
however old he
exactly.
is.
Oh my gosh.
7 months old. My
Is
God.
he a serious baby or is he more like
No, he's pretty
Jovial?
He's pretty relaxed,
Yeah.
most of the time until 7:30 hits and it's bedtime, and then there's nothing you can do.
yeah, then it's all bets off.
Yeah.
I remember it with Harry. He was a good baby to the best of my knowledge, but riding in a car with him, and we were new parents, we had no idea what we were doing. And one of us, I remember driving from Carmel to South Bend where we lived, and one of us would drive, and the other would sit in the back seat and play like,
Yeah.
look at this, basically, to try
We
and.
couldn't stand the blood curdling screams.
And then
from the
Calvin, when he came along, because I drove back and forth to pick up the kids all the time, would sit in the back seat and just scream. And the only thing that would keep him quiet was High School Musical.
back. High School Musical. He
And
loved High School
I would
Musical.
put headphones in and listen to something, anything, to try and drown out the nonsense. And he would watch that. That's one of the few things he would watch in the car, and it would keep him quiet. But he was a toughie. So started tough, ended tough. So, but yeah, we made it just like everybody does. Eventually,
through to the
make
other
it through,
side.
make it through the fog.
They're all still alive.
They're all
Right.
still
I
alive.
know,
That's
right?
right.
Sam said, "I tricked him with timed reading. I said he only needed to read for 10 minutes and set the timer for 20 and didn't let him see the timer."
I've done that before. It's an ancient trick.
Oh,
How much time do I have left? Almost there.
You're almost there.
Keep going.
When the beep goes off.
You read now, Dad. I was like, I read more than you do. So
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so any other changes at the clinic that we should make people aware about as far as like,
Would you like to talk about how we're doing drive-up appointments?
she kind of.
yeah, I kind of
Sort of.
I
Oh,
Did
briefly
you already
mentioned that.
talk about it?
But I think right now, it's been recommended that we go to just curbside,
Right.
right?
Keep everybody healthy.
So, which helps as we have reduced staff members due to illness and whatnot, or other things, and so then we can all operate out of one area, which is helpful. So far, how do you think it's been going so far, Amanda?
Everybody's been really kind of embracing it. I think they appreciate the fact that we're trying to reduce their exposure. They are willing to reduce our exposure. Everybody's been patient with us having to order excesses of food, etc., because everybody's trying to stock up. Honestly, the clients have been amazing. So we appreciate your patience and your cooperation. Just keep it up.
Yeah. And I think, too, with some of the tools that we put in place, like VitusVet, where they can text us, which is nice, so then they have a way of communicating, which is great. That then, we can keep track of the conversations. We don't lose the conversations. And so then, we have ways of continuing conversations throughout a day, basically. And so I feel like that improves our promptness and response time.
Agreed.
I've been impressed with that tool.
VitusVet, yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. If you're out there and you're listening and you haven't done that, downloaded VitusVet to your phone, that's another application that's really helpful.
It's free, right?
And you just go to the App Store, right? It's free.
It's free.
And then it knows your phone number, right? Isn't that how it
Once you
generates
enter
the
your
clinic
phone number,
list?
it will link you to the hospital, and then you'll be able
Unless you're
to,
Harrison.
Well, because his phone number is your phone number
Right.
for some reason.
Yes.
And then you can send messages directly to the main number here, which is the 317-896-9993. And you can text, and one of the staff will get back to you within an hour.
And then they can also access, what other things can they access with the app?
Any of their records, so vaccine records or prescriptions or anything. You can request prescriptions, you can request appointments. So any of those basic functions you can do right there in the app.
Yeah, and it's cool because if you're going, say, to grooming or boarding and you need your vaccine history, you've got it right there on your phone. And you can, I think it updates, what does it update, like within 24 hours?
Those records update nightly.
Nightly.
Yep. Okay.
So, yeah, every night then. So if you came in, then the next day you'd be able to show somebody the vaccine history. No longer do you have to have a piece of paper.
That's right.
That's great.
Which is really nice.
Exactly.
I haven't heard anything in regards to boarding facilities. Are they open, not open? Do you know?
I honestly haven't
I haven't even ventured to that industry to see if they're being
I don't know why they
affected.
wouldn't be open.
Huh?
I don't know why they wouldn't be open. I mean, if
I
pets
don't
aren't carriers,
Right.
you can just pick up the pet and
I
it's
think
isolated.
Brett and Jordan were still taking the dogs to daycare today,
Yeah.
as far as I was aware.
Yeah, because it seems like the number of staff, like you don't have a ton of staff.
Right.
They certainly can't work from home.
No.
So, yeah.
But I think veterinary medicine being considered an essential business, that's why we're still here.
Right.
But I would think, yeah, they might be in a similar boat. When you went to Office Depot yesterday and the sign said
Essential business.
that Office Depot is an essential business.
Yeah, I walked up and there's been a lot of one of the big topics of discussions has been what the actual definition of an essential business is per the governing authority, whether local, state, whatever. So we've talked about that a lot. And if you're an essential business, a lot of these lockdowns and restrictions don't apply to you, so you can still operate as usual. So I was going to Office Max yesterday to pick up some something for the kids, some screen cleaner and something else, and they have a big sign as you walk in, visible from the outside, that says, "We're an essential business. We are open." And I thought, if office supplies is an essential business, I think veterinary medicine, we're okay. We're going to do just fine. So I think it's mostly, though, just restaurants and gyms, those kinds of places where we have, a high concentration of people, in a relatively small area.
Right.
So
Over the speaking of essential businesses, over the weekend, GameStop tried filing for an essential business because of
As they should.
technology or something like that. And GameStop has been a failing business for a few years now, and so they got a ton of flack over the weekend for
Really?
keeping their stores open. And
Why?
Because they weren't. If employees were sick, they weren't giving them
that's
pay
different.
at going home, and then if they were to close the store, they were talking about. They said that if they were to close the store due to illness, they wouldn't close it for the allotted amount of time, but they would just close it for a day, clean it down, and then open it back up, even if there were sick people in it. So
yeah, but
it's quite interesting.
let's be honest. There's sick people walking around that you don't know about. I mean, so to the extent, let's say you had an employee that was sick and they washed everything down. I don't think you necessarily have to close the operation, assuming that person doesn't come back if you clean it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think that those poor people, they're going to go out of business. That's why they're doing what they're doing.
No. I don't fault them at all for that. I think that, there was a guy making an argument this week, and he said every business is essential to somebody, whether it be the owner or potential customers or whatever. So I get the definition. I understand the logic behind what they're trying to do. But I think they're trying to walk that tightrope balance between being restrictive and minimizing the spread of the virus, but at the same time not having the result be worse than the cure. And I think that's what that's the challenge, is that how do you do this without going out of business or facing economic ruin such that you can never really emerge.
Right.
So, I mean, they might have caught flack for that, but I mean, I get it, trying to stay open and survive, especially if you're on a knife's edge already. Why have they had so much trouble, Harry? Just because the downloads
What do you mean
for games? And why is GameStop struggling? Because it's all their footprint's usually pretty small.
They're struggling mainly because of just their business model.
It can't be because of customer service. It can't possibly be because of that.
I mean, it is.
Don't ask me how I know.
It is because of customer service, because the way that they tell their employees to sell games, and like, it's just not good practice, and they're known for being like skeevy and like forcing that practice onto their employees, and it's been known for a while now that working there is just never ever like a good experience. So
I'll never forget when Blockbuster went from, it was noticeable because we used to go there a lot when we lived at Edinburgh. And it was weird because when they started having trouble, there was a distinction, I remember, customer service-wise, between when they were doing well and then when they started doing not so well. And all of a sudden, the customer service was bad. They're kind of yelling at people. Because they changed their late policy because they got sued. And so they were, it was just a mess. And you could totally see how it wasn't a pleasant experience to go in there. You'd ask people questions. They're like, I don't know. It was almost a bother to help, And especially when you have new companies like Netflix or Redbox coming in, you got to be on the top of your game, or they're going to take advantage of that market, take away that market share away from you. So, anyway.
There's just too much online stuff now. I mean, you can just do anything. I mean, you can.
Right.
You don't need the stores. That's the problem. And there's probably so many industries that way.
That's the challenge. I remember talking to a guy at PNC once who used to work at Best Buy. He probably hasn't worked there for a year or so, but he had said they were starting to toy with a much, much smaller footprint because there was just too much square footage to fill in the traditional stores. And Amazon has basically taken all that market share away from a lot of the brick and mortars, and they're just not moving a product. The margins aren't great anyway on some of that stuff. So, we've bought a washer off of Amazon. Did we buy a refrigerator too? I thought we bought something. Like, you would typically go to a brick and mortar to buy it, but.
How about you guys? Do you use that service mostly like that, or do you still go brick and mortar?
Depends on what it is, I guess.
Right.
I mean, if you can buy it on Amazon, we're probably going to buy it on Amazon just because it's convenient, right?
Right.
Appliances and stuff, we tend to at least go look at
in
stores.
That's what I do too. Like, because you can actually see it, and then, and then I use Amazon for the reviews.
Right.
Because there'll be like 1,000 reviews on something.
Right.
And then you can find common themes, like if it's a problem or something, and then you avoid that model or whatever.
Right.
I found that like really, really helpful.
Exactly. We did just buy, the giant TV.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
80-inch
giant TV that we had to have.
The movie screen.
Had to have it, right?
80-inch. That is ginormous.
I'm trying to think how
they
big
sell
that
brackets that big.
They sell mounting things.
How heavy was it?
Over 100 pounds.
So it was pretty heavy, but for 80 inches, that's not that heavy.
The stinking
That's pretty
head of
heavy.
The TV is ginormous.
150 pounds?
No, it was over 100 pounds. I don't think it was 150 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, but think about the TVs the way they used to weigh.
I mean, it was
they used to weigh. I helped him move. Harrison moved some of his stuff out of his apartment in his new house the other day, and we moved this big tube TV that wasn't even as big as the one that we used to have.
Yeah,
and it weighed a ton. We bought a TV once. It was a Sony. Remember, flat screen is a big deal. Bought it at H.H. Gregg. We get it home, or they delivered. I don't remember. We put it in the back of the van.
Yeah.
And we were trying to get it in. It was so top front heavy, we couldn't carry it in. So our neighbor had to come over, and we got on each side of the box.
Yeah.
And got it in, and then we had. We didn't have custom cabinets then.
Cinch it back. Yeah, we did. You had to cinch it back in there.
Yeah, and it was craziness, but it weighed a ton. And
That's
now
just so funny, and in such a short time period, like they're so lightweight now. It's like crazy.
And they're not nearly as expensive. If you go with a super high-end cutting-edge one, they're expensive. But, by and large, they're pretty inexpensive now.
Yeah.
Compared to what they used to be. So.
Yeah, he wanted the OLED. No.
OED?
The OLED.
OLED.
Or QL. I don't know.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, that's cool.
We had a budget.
Well, that's good.
Because the really, really big one was like
really, really, really
part of a car. I was like, no.
Did it drive you to work too? Cook you dinner? Tuck you in at night?
In front of it, and then get your coffee ready
right.
for you.
But it is nice that you can see it from the kitchen or wherever you are.
No, that's really cool.
You can see it from next door.
You probably
80 inches.
could.
Yeah.
But it's as wide as the entire mantle.
Oh, wow.
That's so cool, though.
Yeah, it is cool. I always love that. I love the big TVs like that. That's neat.
Well, in the house is open concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, yeah, you're right. So like wherever you're at, Harrison's new house is kind of like that in a much smaller version. You can just see everything though from like the kitchen or
Right.
so it makes it really nice. So it makes sense to have. Then you don't need a TV here, a TV there, a TV. You know what I mean?
It was a true story. I was in college, no money, never had any money. And I had a little 13-inch TV that I'd gotten for Christmas or something when I was a teenager that I had. And I remember I was watching it, and we were trying to watch stuff, and I splurged and had some money put away or whatever, and I bought a 19-inch TV. And I remember bringing it home, and I was like, this is amazing. It's so much bigger. It's great.
Oh, my gosh.
And I remember, do you remember when we lived in Granger, we had this old TV I think my dad gave me. Remember a neighbor came over and he goes, wow, you guys don't watch TV much, do you? Don't you remember? Because it's old, it's a really small screen.
Yeah.
There's a picture of it in some of our pictures. We had, he was little, he's a toddler, and it was before Trevor was born, I think. And we had this entertainment center, some shelf unit in the corner.
Yeah.
And it was just sitting there.
I do remember that.
It was really tiny. It was
Yeah.
like the screen, and then the controls were on the other side.
Yeah.
So yeah. And so yeah, it was another funny TV story that Sony, I think, came with headphones, or either one set of headphones or two set of headphones, like wireless headphones that you could watch. And Emily used to hate it when I'd put the headphones on.
You couldn't hear anything, so you'd be like, Richie,
Just like, hit me.
Richie, then you have to come up and be like, oh my God, like get
It was
up,
the
I need
best.
your help over here.
And once, this is years ago, the Colts, when they beat the Buccaneers, I think in 02, something like that, 03, the Buccaneers were the defending Super Bowl champs. And they played and came back like 3 or so touchdowns in the last 3 minutes of the game or
Yeah.
something. And I was downstairs watching with the headphones on. It was Monday Night Football. And I was jumping up and down, and you came down there. He was like, what are you doing? Be quiet. You're going to wake the children. So
Oh, gosh.
that's our Sony TV story.
Okay,
That's
well,
it.
should we wrap it up early this time so we can get out there and
We can if you want.
get things done? We still have a bit of organization to do.
Yes, we do.
Organizing.
You want to remind people in case they're tuning in late.
Go ahead.
But e-services now, we're open from 6 to midnight, Monday through Friday. Saturday, Sunday, we're open 7 a.m. to midnight for emergency services. So just give us a call, 317-896-9993, and we will take care of whatever you need.
Yep, exactly. Let us know if we can help, whether you need to pick up meds or food or anything like that. We're happy to run things out for you or set them out for you so you can pick them up. And hopefully this is all going away soon.
Definitely.
So
I
we
think
will
sooner
keep our
rather than later,
fingers
but we
crossed.
will get through it together.
So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Don't forget you can check us out on any of the podcast services,
iTunes, Google Podcasts,
Spotify. And we're here every Monday around 10:30. And then don't forget to check out the merch store at asvcmerch.com, where hopefully we'll have a shirt that says,
We survived.
I survived COVID-19.
I survived the lockdown.
Yes, the lockdown.
From the bunker.
From the bunker.
Live from the bunker.
Live from the bunker. That's right. Exactly. Okay, everybody. We'll see you next time on Five Boys in a Business. I'm Dr. King.
I'm Richie King.
I'm Amanda Knutson.
Have a great one.
We're out.